There comes a point in your life when you must understand this. No one is coming to save you. Nobody cares about your excuses, your struggles, or your sob story. The world keeps moving. And if you're not moving with it, you're already being left behind. People will doubt you, laugh at you, talk behind your back. Let them. You don't fight noise with more noise. You fight it with results. Silence is a weapon, and focus is the trigger. Every second you waste trying to explain yourself to people who don't care is a second stolen from building the life you deserve. Stop posting your dreams. Stop announcing your every move, and stop seeking validation from people who secretly hope you fail. Disappear into the grind. Let your absence scream louder than your presence ever did. Work until they start asking where you've been. Then work even harder until they can't believe what you've become. The loudest revenge is quiet success. Remember, lions don't roar to prove they're lions. They hunt in silence. Silence eliminates distraction and builds power because it forces you to redirect every ounce of your energy back into yourself. Most people live in a constant state of noise. Conversations that go nowhere, endless scrolling, opinions from people who have achieved nothing, and drama that drains more than it gives. That noise isn't harmless. It fragments your focus, scatters your attention, and makes you reactive instead of proactive. You know, when you're constantly responding to outside chatter, you're letting the world dictate your direction. But when you choose silence, when you intentionally pull back from pointless talk and mindless consumption, something happens inside you. You begin to hear your own thoughts clearly. You notice where your mind naturally drifts. You recognize what you truly want, and you start building from a place of conviction instead of confusion. Silence is not weakness. It's discipline. It's refusing to feed the ego by announcing every plan and every move. It's understanding that real power is grown in the shadows, not under the spotlight. Think about the greatest changes in your life. They rarely came when you were surrounded by chaos. They came in moments of stillness, in the quiet where you had time to reflect, strategize, and decide. The world today rewards noise. Posts, opinions, self-promotion, but those rewards are empty. They give you likes, not legacy. True legacy is built when no one is watching, when it's just you against the work, day after day, without applause, without recognition, and without the need to prove anything to anyone but yourself. People underestimate the damage of distraction. They think they can give attention to everything and still win, but that's impossible. Attention is a currency, and you have a limited supply. If you're spending it on gossip, arguments, or proving yourself, you won't have enough left to invest in your own growth. Silence cuts off the leaks. It creates a vault around your energy so that every thought, every hour, and every effort is directed toward progress. That's how power is built. Slowly, steadily, without broadcasting. And when the results finally come, they're undeniable because they've been forged in focus, not in public opinion. The beauty of silence is that it makes you unpredictable. When people can't read your moves, they can't interfere. They can't sabotage something they don't see coming. You move without friction because there's no external resistance. Your enemies are left in the dark, guessing while you are in the light of your own plan. Power is not just about having strength, it's about having control. Control over your emotions so you don't react to every insult. Control over your impulses so you don't waste time chasing validation. Control over your plans so you execute without interference. And silence gives you that control because it removes the temptation to explain, defend, or prove. When you understand this, your priorities change. You stop caring about being heard and start caring about being effective. You stop chasing attention and start chasing mastery. You stop telling the world what you're going to do and start showing them what you've already done. In silence, you build skills. In silence, you strengthen your mind. In silence, you prepare for the moments that will define you. The people who make the loudest noise often have the least to show for it because they've spent their energy performing instead of producing. You cannot perform and build at the same time. Choose building. Choose the grind that no one sees. Choose the nights alone with your thoughts, the mornings when you rise before the sun, the hours where no one claps for you. That's where transformation happens. And here's the truth. The more silent you are, the more the world will eventually have to speak about you. They'll wonder how you did it, where you came from, how you reached the level they thought was impossible. And when that day comes, you won't need to explain a thing. Your work will speak for itself. Your results will echo louder than any noise you could have made along the way. That is real power. The kind that doesn't need a microphone, the kind that doesn't fade when the crowd gets bored. Silence is not just the absence of noise. It is the presence of discipline, the presence of focus, and the presence of a vision so clear that it doesn't need to be validated to be real. You become a fortress, untouchable by distraction, unstoppable in your pursuit. And once you've tasted that kind of power, you'll never give it up for the cheap thrill of being heard, because you'll know that the quiet work you do today will be the loudest statement you'll ever make tomorrow. Focus transforms potential into undeniable results, because potential alone is worthless without concentrated effort. Every single person you meet has some form of potential, dreams, ideas, talent, or ambition. But potential is just the seed. If it's never planted, watered, and nurtured through consistent focus, it will die exactly where it began, inside your imagination. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve is not luck, intelligence, or connections. It is the ability to lock in, remove distractions, and channel all available energy toward a single goal until it becomes reality. Focus is the magnifying glass that turns the scattered rays of your ability into the fire that burns through obstacles. Without it, you're simply dabbling, starting 100 things and finishing none, living in a constant cycle of excitement and disappointment. Focus demands that you choose, because you cannot chase every opportunity at once. It forces you to cut off the noise, the unnecessary commitments, the half-hearted pursuits, and give everything you have to one direction. That commitment is uncomfortable because it means saying no to good things in order to achieve great things. It means sacrificing short-term pleasures for long-term mastery. But mastery cannot exist without focus, and results cannot exist without mastery. Focus doesn't just make you better, it compounds over time. 1 hour of undistracted work is worth more than 5 hours of interrupted effort. So, when you are fully immersed in what you're doing, you enter a flow state where your mind and body work as one. Your creativity sharpens and your productivity explodes. Day after day, that kind of deep work builds momentum, and momentum is what turns average into exceptional. People often underestimate how small, consistent focus adds up. You don't need to make giant leaps every day. You just need to move forward without breaking your rhythm. Focus makes progress inevitable because it removes the friction of constantly switching paths or starting over. The longer you stay locked in, the stronger you become. And eventually your skill, knowledge, and confidence reach a point where success is no longer a possibility, it's a certainty. Focus also transforms your mindset. When you're locked in on a mission, your self-talk changes. You stop doubting whether it's possible and start thinking about how to make it happen. You stop reacting to every distraction and start filtering everything through one question. Does this help me get closer to my goal? That single filter eliminates countless time wasters and emotional drains. Focus forces you to become intentional with your choices, disciplined with your habits, and strategic with your time. And when you live that way long enough, results stop being an accident and start being the natural outcome of your lifestyle. The world is full of talented people who never win because they lack focus. They spread themselves thin, chasing trends, opportunities, and approval from others, but they never give themselves fully to one thing long enough to see it through. And then there are those who may not be the most gifted at first, but become unstoppable because they refuse to quit, refuse to drift, and refuse to allow anything to pull them away from their mission. These are the people who prove that focus can beat talent when talent refuses to focus. Focus also builds resilience because when you're dedicated to one mission, you're forced to face challenges head-on instead of escaping into distractions. Each problem you solve sharpens your skill and strengthens your mental armor. Over time, this resilience becomes part of your identity. You see yourself as someone who doesn't quit, who adapts, who finds a way no matter the odds. That mindset alone is more valuable than any single victory because it means you can replicate success again and again. Potential is silent. It sits inside you, waiting. Focus is the call to action that wakes it up and forces it into the real world. And once you've seen what happens when you give something your full attention for long enough, you'll never want to go back to scattering your energy. You'll understand that anything you want, wealth, health, influence, mastery, is attainable if you give it your undivided attention for years, not days. Focus is rare in a world addicted to distraction. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. While others chase 100 things and catch nothing, you will be steadily moving toward the one thing that matters most to you. And when you finally arrive, people will call you lucky, gifted, or blessed, never realizing it was focus, not magic, that made it possible. They'll see the results, but they won't see the thousands of silent hours, the relentless discipline, the sacrifices you made while they were busy being entertained. That's the beauty of focus. It doesn't just create results, it creates undeniable proof of who you are. It takes you from being someone with potential to someone with power. And once you've crossed that line, there is no going back, because you'll know without a shadow of doubt that anything you aim at with enough focus will eventually be yours. Success speaks louder than any defense, because the moment you start winning, the need to explain yourself disappears. You could spend hours, days, even years trying to justify your actions, prove your worth, or convince people to believe in you, and still there will be those who doubt you. There will be those who doubt you. That's human nature. People quick to question, criticize, and tear apart what they don't understand or what threatens their sense of security. If you play their game and try to argue back, you'll waste your time, energy, and peace on an audience that's already made up its mind. But if you put that same energy into building success, your results will silence them in ways words never could. A person can ignore your opinion, but they can't ignore your achievements. They can dispute your dreams, but they can't dispute your track record. This is why the most powerful form of communication is not talking, it's showing. When you produce results, you force people to acknowledge reality. Even your biggest critics are bound by the truth of what you've done. They might not like you, they might never admit you were right, but deep down they'll have no choice but to respect the work you've put in. Success removes the need to fight battles with words because it turns you into the living proof of your own point. When you're struggling, it's easy for others to dismiss you, mock you, or tell you it can't be done. But when you've built something undeniable, a body, a business, a career, a life that reflects your discipline and commitment, their criticism suddenly loses its weight. Your actions speak for themselves, and your life becomes your argument. Defensiveness, on the other hand, always looks weak. Even when you're right, explaining yourself too much comes across as insecurity. It suggests you need their approval, that you're still seeking permission to pursue your path. But the moment you stop explaining and start achieving, you take back the power. You show that their opinion is irrelevant to your progress, and that kind of self-sufficiency is magnetic. People can't help but notice someone who's too busy winning to answer petty doubts. The beauty of success is that it flips the dynamic. Instead of you chasing validation, validation chases you. The same people who doubted you will come back asking for advice. The same voices that tried to tear you down will now whisper your name with a mix of envy and admiration. And while their words may change, your mission stays the same. Because true success is never about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. That's why the best revenge is not confrontation, but elevation. You rise so high that the arguments become meaningless. And the more you succeed, the less you care about being understood, because the results give you peace that no amount of verbal defense ever could. Success also has a way of rewriting history in people's minds. They forget the years you struggled, the sacrifices you made, the nights you doubted yourself, and they only see the outcome. That's why you don't need to waste time defending your failures along the way. When you win, the story changes automatically. People stop questioning whether you were capable and start telling others they always knew you'd make it. That's the hypocrisy of the world, and instead of fighting it, you can use it to your advantage. Let them talk now. Let them laugh, question, and predict your downfall. You stay focused on the work. You pour your energy into progress instead of pettiness. And when the time comes, you let the results do all the talking. Another reason success is the ultimate defense is because it's hard evidence. In arguments, words can be twisted, intentions can be doubted, and memories can be altered. But facts, real, measurable results are undeniable. A record-breaking performance, a thriving business, a fit and disciplined body, financial freedom, these things can't be argued away. They are physical proof of your discipline, intelligence, and persistence. That's why the truly powerful don't respond to insults with more words. They respond with progress. Every hour you spend defending yourself is an hour you could have spent improving yourself. And the truth is, no one remembers what you said. They remember what you did. They remember how you made them feel when they saw what you'd achieved. That's why the best way to answer doubt is to build so much undeniable success that no explanation is necessary. It's not about arrogance. It's not about rubbing it in their faces. It's about understanding that the only way to truly win is to rise so far above the noise that it can't touch you. Words fade. Opinions change, but results stay. They remain as living proof of your work ethic long after the conversations have ended. When you focus on success instead of defense, you stop being reactive and start being proactive. You stop living in a state of constant justification and start living in a state of creation. And that shift from defending to building is the moment your life transforms. You realize you no longer need to fight for respect because your actions demand it. You realize you no longer need to explain your vision because you're already living it. And once you reach that level, the noise becomes background music, something you notice, maybe even smile at, but never dance to. And when all is said and done, you will look back and realize that everything they said, every doubt, every criticism, every whispered opinion was just background noise in a life you built with your own hands. You will remember the nights you stayed quiet while they talked, the mornings you rose before anyone else, the days you chose focus over comfort, and you will understand why you stand where you stand. It wasn't luck, it wasn't fate. It was silence that guarded your energy, focus that sharpened your abilities, and success that spoke when you didn't have to. That combination made you untouchable. The people who once questioned you will either disappear into the shadows or stand in awe, unsure how you did it, but you'll know the truth. You stayed locked in when they were distracted. You worked when they rested, and you kept moving forward when they stopped. That's why you won. That's why you became the version of yourself they never believed you could be. So let them talk, let them watch, let them wonder, because your life now is proof that the loudest person in the room isn't the strongest. The one who builds in silence is.